That's why I'm
So hi, I'm Sarah Bradbury from Fred Film Radio
Yeah.
from the 80th Venice Film Festival. I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by the director and producers of the film Day of the Fight. Maybe you could just begin with a brief introduction to this incredible film. People who don't know anything about it, what can they expect?
Shall I take this one?
You definitely
Okay.
should.
The film is a redemptive journey about a gentleman who has recently been released from prison. And it's on the day of his first prize fight. And he takes a sort of introspective journey through his past and present, meeting people who have made or, you know, an impression on his life in some way. And it's, you know, all culminating with a fight at Madison Square Garden. It's, you know, 1989. It's beautifully shot in black and white by an amazing DP called Peter Simonite. We have these amazing people next to me who helped me make this movie.
Incredible first effort from this one. Beautiful, beautifully directed, beautifully shot. Very challenging, hard film to make.
And obviously, you know, from ostensibly you might think, you know, this sort of straight up boxing film, but as soon as you dive into it, you realize it's so much more. Where did you perhaps take your cues or references from that genre, and why did you also perhaps want to subvert some of those?
At a very young age, my father, who I had quite a distant, to put it lightly, relationship with, came to England, and he played me two of my grandfather's favorite films. And one of those was On the Waterfront. And I think that made this sort of indelible mark on me. Just that it was about a boxer, but it wasn't about a boxer, you know what I mean? And obviously you're watching Marlon Brando, so, you know, it was an experience unlike that I'd never had. And it was my first real love and sort of made me want to make something that stuck with you, something that sort of lasted much longer after the final credits. It's one of those moments. And then I was watching a documentary that Stanley Kubrick made in 1951 called Day of the Fight, hence the inspiration for the name. And it was about a boxer called Walter Cartier, and it just followed him on the day of a prize fight. It was a documentary, 1951, he sold it for $1,000 to MGM, and it was what basically gave him the money to make his first feature film.
And what an incredible cast you put together. I mean, and there's some people that just pop up even in the different characters he encounters throughout the day, like Ron Perlman. And then, of course, this incredible scene with Joe Pesci as his father. But right at the center, Michael Pitt. I mean, I guess it was maybe, you know, not maybe an easy decision for you, but something you had to maybe slightly fight for. But the fact that he's a boxer, I mean, and he brings such strength, but also vulnerability to the role.
Yeah, it was written for Mike, every word. I heard his voice in my head as I was putting pen to paper, as they say. And it was a fight. I mean, Josh and Emma can speak to that a little bit because, you know, when we were in pre-production, Michael is fascinating, but, you know, first to say it, he is Mikey. That's it. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot from the character that Jack wrote, the fictionalized version of it, that is definitely born from some of the inner polemic and emotional struggle that Michael goes through ostensibly in his own life. And, you know, even right up until the minute go of the film, there were some question marks. But one of the truly beautiful things about this film is Jack's, not just the writing that Jack did with the character development of it, but was Jack's faith and belief and the friendship that he and Michael have together in terms of creating this thing, which I don't think another actor would have brought the same punch, forgive the cliche, to the role. And I don't think Jack will tell you he wouldn't have made it with anybody else. But it's a real tribute to their friendship.
In terms of the look and feel of the film, I mean, there's this incredible grittiness to the urban backdrop, which is, you know, conjured with such authenticity as we're sort of following him through those streets. But what about this decision to put it in black and white? Perhaps it sort of puts us into another register. It's slightly heightened, and then also the thread of music. Music seems to play a very important role, both his own connection and also the soundtrack you use.
Absolutely. I'm really great for like saying that because I always said the music is another character of the film. It has to be. You know, his journey it's an internal playlist that he's going through that we don't necessarily hear, but it's beautifully scored. Funny enough, by my brother-in-law, Ben McDermott, and he just did such, you know, graceful work. And, you know, the black and white, it was in the script. I couldn't imagine it any other way. That might be as much to do with, you know, the countless movies that I grew up watching that, you know, made that impact and that look and that grit and that grain and, you know, the depth of it. You know, my grandfather from the sort of noir-esque school of film, you know, there's also something quite nice about that metaphor that he's living in black and white, like his world is black and white, and he's trying to paint colors, and that's why the memories have these very desaturated, faint hints that sort of come to him, because he's sort of reminiscing, and in that sort of rather beautiful and yet melancholic way, hit by what memories are, which are without a start, without an end. They come at you in very strange moments. And sometimes without rhyme or reason. It could be a smell, it could be a sound, it could be something, and suddenly you're taken back to, you know, 6 years old or 11 years old, and we kind of wanted to keep that sort of poetry alive. And also black and white helps a lot in today's world, because we were making it in 1989 Brooklyn, and it's very forgiving. It's very forgiving.
I think I'm out of time, but just a final sentence or two on, you know, what you think the takeaways are. I mean, the fact how trauma can, you know, really follow you through life, but it's also not too late for redemption.
Yeah, I mean, that's the film. The film is about redemption. There's a beautiful line. I love the way I said a beautiful line, because I wrote it. It sounds like what an idiot. It's like, there's a beautiful line in this movie, if I may say so. No,
I can say it. There's a beautiful line in this movie, Jack.
Oh, thank you so much. You're talking about the line from Patrick in the church.
Exactly.
He says, you know, it was interesting. It was about, like, you're not going to have a life without mistakes, but as long as you're on a good path, he's not talking about a path without mistakes, a path that's intentionally good. We all make mistakes. We all have done bad things. We all, you know, but if you're intentionally good, or your overall objective is to, I mean, good is such a sort of nothing word in essence, but it does describe everything. So, I mean, it's the whole idea of, like, how far are you willing to go for the ones you love in that sort of self-sacrificial way? Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for sharing all that with me. Can't wait for everyone else to see Day of the Fight.
Thank you.
I've been Sarah Bradbury for Fred Film Radio at the 80th Venice Film Festival. Thank you so much.
Thank you
you.
so much.